We are welcoming two fabulous guests. We have David Zeldin, who is with us, and Scott Badesch, who are with us. And these are two amazing gentlemen. I will tell you that I'm having trouble with all of my files, so I'm speaking completely off the cuff here. But Scott, I have known for a very long time. Scott is the former president of the Autism Society of America. He's been on the show before and has had a long, illustrious career in the field of autism, helping families, certainly in the United States, but around the world, to find and access services. So we welcome Scott back to the show. And I should say that this is Scott's idea of retirement now. We knew Scott wasn't going.
Hey, I don't have a tie on. Look at you know.
Yeah. Yeah, bless you. And all I can say is bless your wife, because we all knew, Scott, that you weren't going to be able to retire and go away, because how could you do that? That's just not a possibility for you. But then we're also welcoming David Zeldin here to talk with us. And David, I apologize because you sent me beautiful information about you and I can't pull it up on my computer and I don't know why. So I'm going to ask you to tell us a little bit about your background, and then we're going to talk about this new hot fabulous thing that you are working on, Emotiplay, that is available to our viewers. So David, forgive me and tell us a little bit about your background. I can't hear you though, David. Do you have your sound on? Can you unmute yourself? Well, while he is paused for a second, because David, we aren't able to hear you. And Traven, any help that you can give David to figure out why we can't hear him. Scott, I want you to wax poetic a little bit about David, because he's an amazing guy. Tell us a little bit about David.
Well, first of all, I want to tell you what my favorite sound is: a belly laugh from a baby who's crying.
Right.
Laugh, when you thought that, and so it's great to see you again. And as I said, I'm loving retirement, but my wife doesn't love me being around the house from 9 to 5. So I've gotten involved in things. But David is with a company called Emotiplay, which is.
And of course, now he's frozen. This is not, it's like, what is wrong with the universe? My computer's not working, Scott's frozen, and David can't be heard. This is what we call live programming. So our host is talking to David to see if we can get his, okay, I don't know what's going on. So I'm going to talk a little bit of, now we have Scott back.
Okay.
Scott, you froze. Okay.
I'm sorry.
All right. Tell us about Emotiplay.
Emotiplay. David, are you on now?
Can you guys hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. So David.
Oh, it's exciting.
David with Emotiplay, and he's one of their sales and management people, and he and I've developed a friendship over the last year. And I suggested he let more people know about this great product. So I said, this is great. And Shannon, before I go, one of the benefits of retirement is I get to watch your show regularly. And I want to tell you, it's nice to have the time, but you've taught me a lot. And your guests have taught me a lot, but it's just your way of making me think things. Like even this question of what's your favorite laugh, what's your sound, that's such a wonderful thing. Tonight at dinner, I'm going to ask my wife that. But it's really, the service you're providing is really, I always knew it, but now I'm benefiting. But thank you. So I'll leave with
that. That's very sweet. Thank you, Scott. And don't go too far, because you helped us to connect. So David, I'm so glad that we can hear from you now. Tell us first a little bit about you, David, and then we want to talk about Compedia and Emotiplay.
You got it. Okay. So first of all, glad that you can hear me. And before I even talk about myself, I do have to, answer your question about my favorite sound, because when you asked it, I'm thinking, people ask, what's your favorite color? It's not usually a question that you get. So I'd have to go with Mariah Carey, when she hits those high notes when she was in her prime. Those are my, that'll always, I don't know, that really, that works.
I get you. All right. I love it. I love it. Okay. But now, David, we're scintillating, we're simmering with anticipation. Tell us a little bit about you.
So I am in sales and marketing for about 25, 30 years in Israel. I came here about 30 years ago and did an MBA. and have ever since been in the tech arena here, which has really blossomed and become a really central part of our economy over the past 20, 30 years. And I am now with a company called Emotiplay, which is part of Compedia. Compedia is a company that's been in ed tech for over 30 years. And they established themselves as coming out with a lot of like, actually these floppy disks, if you guys remember those. They did floppy disks and diskettes and CD-ROMs with cute, adorable characters like Casper the Friendly Ghost, Bob the Builder, and really made a lot of waves in the educational technology sector. Today, obviously, we're not doing CD-ROMs and we're not doing any of that, and we've moved into everything is online and SaaS-based and cloud-based. And what we're going to talk about today is Emotiplay, which is a really revolutionary approach that is research-based, and a lot of very big leaders in the field were behind this. And what it's doing is it's really helping kids on the spectrum learn about emotions in a way that was never done before, because we are using and taking advantage of all the media. We're dealing with not just photos, but also video. And you talked about sound, so we talk about tone and pitch, and really in every possible way, going in every possible direction, teach the kids how to identify and how to learn. So here you actually see a picture. The idea is, of course, not to put the child in front of the computer by themselves and just have them go through it like and get too immersed in the actual program. But it's actually being used with therapists, with parents, with siblings, with friends, and the idea is to really work as a team to learn about emotions, to understand facial expressions, to understand body language, to understand different tones, and to be able to express themselves, and also talking about actually what they're feeling inside of themselves and being able to express it. We use like cute characters to do this, but I do want to emphasize that the actual faces and the actual, when we're actually teaching about the emotions, those are real. They're always going to be real people, real faces, real voices, not the cartoon type of things are used to talk about it. But when we give examples, it's always going to be with the real thing.
Wonderful. And so we have a clip that, as long as Traven is ready to do it, I think it'd be great if we showed the clip that tells a little bit about Emotiplay, and then we'll come back and talk about how you guys got involved in this space, and we'll delve in a little bit. Does that sound good? Okay, so Traven, roll tape, please.
Emotiplay develops advanced technologies for children with autism spectrum disorders and related conditions.
Hello, hello. I'm delighted to see you.
Welcome to Emotiteam. Emotiteam is a unique program to help autistic children aged 4 to 11 recognize and understand emotions. The program is designed for the child to work with an adult mediator such as a parent, teacher, or therapist. Or alternatively, the child can work with a group of his peers. The program core content was developed in collaboration with an international team of top experts from leading universities. Emotiteam is a structured program based on the latest scientific evidence. It includes the following elements: dozens of video lessons, practice activities, integrative activities, hands-on social interaction tasks, learning by doing, interactive quizzes and tests, tools to support team learning. The program's core content has been tested and validated in clinical trials by researchers in several countries.
How wonderful! See you later!
Okay, wonderful. So now we know a little bit more about it. But so I guess obviously you explained that Compedia is a place that has been dealing with education, but I guess I want to know what spurred them to specifically want to get into this space, David. Why Why working with individuals with autism and why work on emotion?
So what happened was one of the actually it was one of the employees there, and one of their kids was diagnosed with autism, and they were actually looking for something to teach their kid about emotions and to work with them, and they realized very quickly that there was really nothing really out there that they were able to get their hands on that was dealing in a really comprehensive way. So they turned to one of the professors in Israel, and a consortium was actually formed. So there's a few different universities: Cambridge in the UK, Bar Ilan in Israel, Karolinska in Sweden. Autism Europe ended up also getting involved, and Compedia was the the entity that was putting it all together and actually making the actual program. So the research was done the video just said, in 3 different countries. And but the impetus to this was personal. At the end of the day, it was something that the company started to look into, and other people in the company got involved, obviously. And that's how we got the spin-off of Emotiplay. That's how it was born.
Wonderful. And Scott, you can attest to the fact that this is an area where parents of individuals on the autism spectrum have long said this is an issue, right? Having our children recognize emotion in other people, in themselves, because if they don't have that, I think that most parents will say, when you talk to them about what do you need, they'll talk about how they want their child to self-regulate. But self-regulation doesn't come unless you understand what it is to begin with, right? Talk a little bit about your experience with this and parents needing something like this.
Well, and just on a very personal basis, I think, as you know, and others who've heard me speak, my oldest son, who just turns 30, got 30, I'm trying to think, 35 next week, 34, I'm sorry. He's on the spectrum. And like any parent of a child with autism or not, it hurts you when your kid has something to say that they can't say. I mean, and this is not so much a nonverbal, but it's just, when a little baby's sick and they can't tell you what hurts, it really bothers you, but it's also bothering the person. What I saw in my career, and I see it with my son, and I see it with a lot of people, is that that understanding their emotions and the way to describe if they're angry, if they're sad, if they're hurting, if they're confused, is often difficult. And as you said, reading other people's faces, so that if I was mad, it was my son picking that up. If my son interacted with a policeman, could he read the body language and realize, okay, this is something I need to be related to? So I always wondered in my career, how do you teach kids emotions? I did it with my son. I mean, we had to spend time, and and like any person, there'd be meltdowns when the frustration got to such a level. But once he was either able to point or verbally tell us, or even write something, that he was sad, and then when we got into why are you sad, but then when David and the people from Emotiplay and I started talking, I said, this would be wonderful. I wish I had this from when my son was young. I even think, even though it's aimed toward kids up to 8 years old, I think, a lot of people, I mean, it's there's a lot of us who may not pick up emotions as easy. But what I've seen with this program is it's a good way for a parent or a therapist or a teacher to gain the trust of a child and say, look, I'm a safe person. You could tell me you're scared. You could tell me you're worried. You could tell me you're not feeling good. But emotions, it's I mean, it's emotions could be, sometimes if a kid doesn't let their emotions know, it could get risky. So what's good about this is it helps the kid self-learn in a way that they would not learn had they didn't have the device. Last thing I would just say is that, each of us as a parent, our kids, we could control how much our kids interact with people, but the reality is you don't know who they go to school, they're interacting with people, the bus driver, they're interacting, kids on the bus, how they could say, an example, if there's a bully on the bus and they're afraid, how do they share to the parent or this teacher or the therapist or anyone that they're afraid. And what this does is it helps the kid understand. There's a case that maybe I'm not trying to steal thunder, David, of someone who was using it, and the kid would go to the train station every day. A train, it's in Europe, and he just liked the train stations. Well, I might get this wrong, David. I do, correct me. Someone at the train station thought this was, what's this kid doing, and kind of made it look like he shouldn't be here. Well, he didn't know how to deal with it. We used emotion thing, and he kind of said, okay, I know how to deal with it. Someone may understand, why is this kid always at the train station sitting there? He may be looking at his iPad or whatever, but he was able to explain to his mom and his dad and the therapist in this case that I love going to the train station, but I get an emotional thing by the way this woman keeps looking at me. She must be working there or something. I got to deal with that. Well, Emotiplay taught the child how to deal with it, so that he was able to go to the train station, which was a safe place for him to enjoy it. So the results are great. It was developed by some leading experts that are well known internationally. It's a program that's continuous. How many more emotions do we bring in? How do we help it when a kid says they're sad? How can they self-regulate sadness?
Well, let's talk about that, because I want to know from David. I think we all agree this is important to have a tool like this, to do this and to teach this. So what is the program like? How does it teach?
So first of all, it's a structured program. So in other words, we just did an onboarding with one of the with a center. It's a rather large center, and we were onboarding a lot of therapists. And what they said to us after we showed them, we had them actually go into the program and look at it. And first of all, it's structured. It's teaching about emotions of the facial expressions, of body language, of the voice, what I'm feeling inside, and then it goes through about 7 right now, different emotions, but we're adding another 5. And of course, we're adding anxiety, because we have a special thing for COVID. So that was a request that was coming out from a lot of people. But what a lot of therapists and people who are working with it say is that it's just very simple and intuitive. You go into it, you start. There's a video. It teaches the kid about the emotion. Then there's some quizzes. Now, what's really cool about it is you go out of the program. So it's not a computer program. You're not like just glued to the computer. You're told there's things to print up. You go do activities. You make there's group activities and project-based learning and collaborative learning. So and it's also can even be used on Zoom. So for example, one of the activities is in non-COVID times, sit in a circle, make everybody happy, do something without touching them to make them happy. And you could take pictures of it and upload it. And this I'll get into in a second. But now in COVID, this is something that can be done on a Zoom therapy session with a few kids, and try and make each other laugh, or what makes you sad, different ways that you can actually work together. So it takes them through structured way, teaching them about it, quizzing them about it. But then the important thing is, with any learning, no matter who you are, you learn things much better when you are active, you're doing something. So you take a picture, you take a video, you do a group activity, then it really sinks in. One of the things that's important to mention is that it's not necessarily, just go through it once and boom, you've got emotions down pat. What we're finding is, the repetition is also important and also helpful. Again, it's very individual. Some of the kids will pick it up after once, twice, and other kids will, are going to be using it for a couple of years. But at the end of the day, this is it's a very, structured way to learn about it. And I just want to add something that's really cool. That was feedback that we weren't expecting. It came out of I don't know. It was sometimes you learn things about the program that you didn't quite know. And so one of the places that they're using it, they were teaching. There's a collaboration area, and you can actually, it almost looks like a Facebook. It's a feed, and you upload stuff, and the kids in the group can, there's controls obviously, but you can have them see each other or not see each other, whatever the therapist or the parents prefer. And but you can comment on other things and like them, and say, you look really happy here, it's a great sad face. And so someone said, we use this, the kids, you talked about bullying earlier, and it's like, well, the kids, when they're not on social media, we're talking now more like towards teenagers, because it is up to 11 and even up. It can be used for older kids, just depending on who they are. So when the kids start using social media and they're not on it, they're bullied. But then if they do go on it and they use it completely incorrectly or inappropriately because they don't understand, then they're bullied, then they're rejected or bullied. So this therapist said, I can teach the kids about social media and, how to upload things, what things are appropriate, what are not, what kind of comments you make. And it's a safe environment. No one else sees it. If they make a mistake, it's fine. And that was like, wow. And now so many people have told us that that's like one of their favorite things about the program.
So there's within the program, there's a way for a safe, like a sandbox, so to speak, where people who are using the program can go in and interact with each other. I love that. Now, you mentioned that it's really easy to use for therapists, but also we want to make sure that people know that a parent could do this with their child. How easy is it for a parent, David? Because we don't know what therapists know.
It's, no, it's easy. It's easy because you just, it's just set up in a way that it's kind of it's like almost like a course. You go in the first one, the second one, the third, and you obviously are allowed to jump around and do other things and go back and do them twice. But at the end of the day, it's not like you need to be very tech savvy to do it. If you know how to use if you know how to use your chat on your smartphone, you're good to go. You're
Okay,
fine.
good. That's a good litmus test. So before we get any further, let's talk about if people have questions or they're ready to try it. They're like, give me this. I want to know, where do they get it and how much does it cost?
Okay, so there is a site, there's a store at emotiplay.com. You can also, if you want to add, and you go there, it's the price is $40 per month, but we can discount it. Anyone who gets it, who's from this show will get it for $30, $30 a month. You can also just write us as well, and just to support at emotiplay.com. And if you have questions, if you're not quite sure if you want to get it yet or not, you can also just contact us and we'll communicate with you. But go to emotiplay.com and you can go to the store and it's and you're good to go. And
Okay,
it's a
but
2-week
you can,
free trial, by the way, so you can try it out for free for 2 weeks.
okay. So try it out for 2 weeks. But if we go to emotiplay.com, we can also purchase it. But you mentioned that there's a discount. I love this for our viewers. Do they need to put in a code or do they need to go to support at emotiplay.com to how do they get the discount, David?
You just write if they so for that for now we'll set it up as a store and it'll just be slash and we'll put it we'll get that set up, but in the meantime they can just come to me and just write to support at emotiplay.com and they're good to go.
Okay.
We'll make sure they get that discount.
So and I gotta say it's very timely right now because there's a lot of people at home who maybe they don't have their usual therapy for various and sundry reasons because of COVID. Maybe they don't have all the support that they would have for their local resources. Maybe they're not getting as much in their school setting as they would like. So this is something that because I'm always saying to people, David, in COVID, you got to do what you can do. Like we can talk about all the things you can't do, but what can you do? So this is something that your child could be doing at home with you, or with, because I know a lot of people are like, look, Shannon, I'm working and I can't, I got to sit there while they're doing school. And that's the seventh ring of, what. But I would think that an older sibling could do this with them too. Or maybe this is the kind of thing that because a lot of people are living with grandma and grandpa in the house right now. This is something that grandma or grandpa could do with your child. Or it could be something that you do later on at night that's a little fun and a de-stressor when you're not working on homework. Because it doesn't I've looked at it, it doesn't feel like you're working. It feels like
it's fun. It's
I
fun.
got to be honest, it's got a feel to it that's very like PBS, Disney kind of, wink, wink, all the stuff where the kids think they're having fun, but you're embedding important skills in them. It's got that sort of feel to it, which is pretty much the highest compliment I can give you, David, because that's a pretty good company to be in, right?
Yeah.
So you guys, this is something that you can be doing. And I really hope that you guys will check it out, even if just try the free trial for 2 weeks and see if it's something that resonates with your child. Because this is an area that I think gets left out a lot. A lot of times parents will say, well, what's the big five? I want my child to speak. I want my child to behave. I want my child to be potty trained. Like, the endless list of things that people ask for all the time. But if there's anything having to do with behavior, basis of that is self-regulation. And you cannot teach self-regulation unless they understand I am having a feeling right now. And then how about the other side of that, which is perspective taking, which we know is one of the core issues with autism, and that teaching an individual on the spectrum perspective taking will help them succeed in life. And we cannot teach perspective taking. The basis of perspective taking is first understanding that I'm having thoughts and emotions and that you're having thoughts and emotions. How can you teach that until they understand what their thoughts and emotions are, and that the other person is having them, and I can interpret them just by looking at them? It's kind of brilliant.
There's another wonderful part about Emotiplay, and that is the bonding it does between the teacher, be it a parent, a grandparent, a neighbor, or whatever, and the child, so that the child also knows I could share my emotions with a safe person. I mean, most of us, you don't want to say I'm scared. Sometimes, or I'm anxious. It's hard to say that sometimes for anyone. So the ability for a mom or a dad or a grandpa or grandma or anyone or a brother or sister to say it's okay.
Did we lose him?
He froze again.
I'll continue this thought.
Yes.
So first of all, yeah, the emotions are the core to the behavior. If you're not understanding your own emotions, and there was even a story with one of the mothers said, and this is funny because it's ironic. Her son came home and said, I'm really angry. And this was, he was in the group this was during the research stage, and he was in the group that was using Emotiplay. And the mother was actually happy that he came home and said, I'm angry. It was the first time he ever expressed an emotion. And it wasn't like I'm happy, it was I'm angry. But he was angry because something had happened to him at school that day, and he was actually able to express it. And then 2 weeks later, he even said to his mom, oh, you have an angry face right now. So he's putting it all together. He knows that's a facial expression, and this is how the facial expression looks. That's an angry face. You must be angry. And just kind of showing, that it first of all, it does work, but that you're able to channel yourself and express yourself as to what you're actually feeling. And that's it's like you can't just behave well without dealing with something that's going on in the core. Also just wanted to add that also we're happy if any therapists, also not just parents, if you're a therapist and you want to get more information or use it or do a trial at your center or whatever, we're also just same email, support@emotiplay.com, and we'll set you up and we will help you.
Traven, are we able to put that up on the screen, support@emotiplay.com? We've got Scott back. Scott, we hear you're having a bad storm where you are.
I'm in Chapel Hill and there's a bad storm, a thunder going. So,
well, please.
I apologize. So.
No. Listen, this happens all the time, but please be careful. Do what you need to do if you need to take cover.
Yeah.
So there's the email, support@emotiplay.com. That's where you can go to ask for the discount. But please try the free 2-week trial. What have you got to lose? Where else do you have to be during COVID? And I think you'll find, because the other thing, where I was going on the big five, the other thing that people always write in and ask us about, social skills. How can I be working on social skills? Because I want my child to have friends. And I think that that's the key to a lot of things. I mean, you know, happiness in life is in a large part due to the relationships that you have and how successful those are, whether they're friends or people you're romantic with. And all of that is based on first being able to understand your own emotions and others' emotions. So, you know, this is a great gift that you can give your child and yourself to work on this and to work on it together. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. You know what I thought about when you first introduced this to me, Scott, was there's in Temple Grandin story in the movie that HBO did, there's a part where I think it's her aunt, takes a bunch of Polaroids of her face to show her what her own face looked like when she was sad or happy or whatever. And she goes through this lengthy thing, and there's just a little section in the movie where, you know, she teaches Temple about her own emotions. And I remember being a fairly new parent of a child on the spectrum when this happened. And I was like, oh, I'm in for a lot of work here. And you know, the things that they're teaching on Emotiplay, it's so wonderful based on research that we've been talking about for years, you know, the whole idea of video modeling and then going back and letting the person try it themselves and going back to video modeling. We know that's what works. So we don't have to, and as a parent, you feel overwhelmed, but you don't have to, because you just do this and you click the button and it takes you through it, and you don't have to go get a degree in advanced communications. You just sign up and do it.
Could I say something, Shannon?
Yeah.
One of the things that is interesting, and I'm a little worried about this, that as schools start opening up again and kids start going back to school, particularly autistic kids, you know, a lot of the information about how to get your kid back to a routine to go to school is about routine. We got to deal with the emotions of going back to school. Kids have been at home with their moms and dads or grandparents or caretakers or whatever. They're going to feel sad when they lose that. They're going to feel scared. But then likewise, the parents are going to miss the kid. So it's this whole concept of change and how people could say I'm scared or I'm sad. But as a parent, I could say to my son, well, I'm sad too that I'm not going to see you all day, you know, but that's okay. But if my kid can't tell me he's sad, you know, and I'm not picking it up, I'm not going to deal with it because I don't think it's a problem. So this is a way where I don't have to second guess my son. He's going to tell me if there's a problem, and it's real important, you know. So that's why I just, you know, I said, hey, this is, you know, if I could do something in retirement to help people get some good words out of some good products, I'd like to do that. So,
and so Scott hooked us up. Yeah. Well, Scott hooked us up, and so we wanted to have him here with us when we talked with David. So David, thank everybody over there at Emotiplay. I want to remind everybody here, go check it out. Do the 2-week. You know, this is my thing right now, is that I know we're sort of all like stuck in this thing, but like be willing to try something else. Try it for 2 weeks. See if it's helping you to help your child, because this is an important thing for the rest of their life, emotions. So go to support at Emotiplay or go to emotiplay.com and check it out. And then let us know what you guys think. David, thank you so much. I know it's late at night there, and we're so thrilled that you were able to be with us, and that I thought for sure it was your internet that we were going to have a problem with. Little did I know that it's you know, happening in Chapel Hill, but Scott, always a thrill to have you here with us. Thank you for turning us on to this great product.
Thank you. And thank you for all you're doing.
Thank you so much for having us.
Love to both of you. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for watching Autism Live. If you found anything helpful in this video, please give us a like. In fact, make sure that you smash that subscribe button on YouTube and give us a like on Facebook. You can also follow us on Twitter and Instagram for important updates. And please download our free podcast wherever you get your podcasts. See you next time. Until then, give your kiddos a hug from me and one for you too. Bye-bye for now.
To subscribe, click here. And if you'd like to check out some more of our videos, click here.